Hello and welcome to this episode of Quick Tips. I'm Grace and today we're going to go through the differences between emulsion and trace. So when you mix your lye water with your oils and butters, they break each other down and recombine into soap. This is called the saponification process. The process is helped along by mixing, which is why stick blenders are so important. It can take a few minutes by hand to a few seconds to reach emulsion. This process creates heat and also starts a batter thickening. The thickening is called trace and it's an indicator of emulsion. Trace will start out very thin and get thicker and thicker until it becomes solid. So emulsion is actually the point of no return when your oils and lye have been mixed enough that they won't separate back out. So it's really important that you reach this before you pour your soap into your mold, because if you haven't, then oil is going to leak out and that's not really what you want. How can you tell if you've reached emulsion? Usually through trace. Since trace is triggered by emulsion and start of the saponification process, once you can see that all of your oils are fully incorporated, there isn't any floating on top or through the rest of the batter, and that it's at a very light trace, meaning that if you pick your stick blender out of the batter and let a little bit fall back in, it'll leave a slight trace on top, it won't just disappear back in like water. You can also lift your mixing utensil out of the batter and let it sit out for a minute or so. If you see the batter start to separate, mix it a bit more, either by hand for a minute or a quick stick blender burst, and then check the batter again. As you make more soap and you get more used to your recipe, it'll be easier and easier to tell when you reach emulsion and your different stages of trace. So even though trace is a really good indicator of what's going on and you need to know your levels of trace, there is also a false trace. A lot of recipes use hard butters or oils like coconut oil, which are cold at room temperature. So if you let your batter get too cold, these will start hardening and it'll look like you've reached trace even if you haven't reached emulsion. And that's not going to end well if you try and pour. So it's always a good rule of thumb to keep your oils and lye within 10 degrees of each other so that one doesn't shock the other and bring the temperature down. Until you know your own recipe better and you sort of know what you like, the general sort of rule of thumb is to keep your oils within 48 to 54 degrees Celsius, which is 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And that brings us to the end of this quick tips. I hope you found it useful. You can always favorite or like to make it easy to come back for a refresher, or you can find it in our quick tips playlist. If you had any other aspect of soap making that you'd like us to cover, you can leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.